The January 28th, 2015 meeting of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Daniele. Mr. Daniele? Yes. Mr. Haney? Chairman Michike?
Here.
Ms. Taylor? Here. Mr. Wilcox? Here.
Is there anyone signed up for public forum?
There is not.
Is there anyone present who is not signed up to speak who would like to address the committee at this time? Seeing none. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the December 15th, 2014 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Next item on the agenda is new business. Mr. Clerk.
Referral 15-0008, authorized.
Moved by Legislator Taylor, second by Legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion at this time? Legislator Haney.
Year do we have to use this service with the city photo lab?
Through the chair, Commander Phelps, Sheriff's Administration, we actually don't use it that often anymore. The photo lab is used currently only when you have to retrieve a negative, from older cases, cold cases, or if you had a unique printing need. Pretty much everything we do now is digital. So this is set up basically as a safety net for that rare occasion that we do need a print photo for evidence.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? See none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 15-0019, authorized.
Moved by Legislator Daniele, second by Legislator Taylor. Is there any discussion? Legislator Daniele.
Yeah, through the chair of the administration. I know we do this every year. Have the rates changed from last year? And has the rates changed from last year, or are we charging more or less the same rate back to the other counties?
Through the chair, our rates, I guess, have been modified maybe to reflect, more of the indirect, I guess maybe a cost and our overall cost that we contribute to the cases in terms of infrastructure. And a lot of that infrastructure, I guess, would be more costly to those counties that we provide the service to if they had to develop that and implement that themselves. For example, having some of their own forensic pathologist having, some of the radiographical, I guess maybe technical expertise that we provide, some of the toxicological laboratory analyses that we do. If they had to develop all of those skill sets and all the infrastructure that backs those up, that would be more costly to them. And yet, I would say in prior years, we didn't adequately maybe capture that cost, and apply that appropriately based upon the caseload that we get from the surrounding counties, both in terms of the total number, but, as I had mentioned, I guess maybe yesterday, the distribution of the types of cases. And for us, there's generally like three types. There's like a full autopsy, a partial autopsy, and external examination. And with the full autopsies having the greatest amount of effort, and then the external examinations having the least, there's a different costs associated with those distributions. And we have an idea what those distributions are for each county based upon the historical data that we have from them. And so that accounts into the differences that you see maybe by county for those actual contracts.
Thank you. I mean, that's a good explanation. In general, for the same case, you categorize them into three different cases. Have the cost to the county, to the other counties, gone up for apples-to-apples services? I mean, and I understand the value of the services certainly, but has our cost of administering those services gone up from last year to this year? And are we charging the counties more apples to apples? I mean, because I'm assuming that our scope of work really hasn't changed. Perhaps caseload has, but what we do hasn't changed.
That's correct, through the chair.
So are we charging them more for the same apple, 2014, new apple, 2015, same price, or do we charge them a little bit more?
With regards to this new process that we put in that captures more of those costs, on the one hand, that is a higher cost maybe that we are charging, I guess maybe to them in that contract. With regards to the actual maybe cost per se in terms of actual doing the work, that's the same. but we weren't actually charging them for that, in part because we hadn't done, if you will, maybe a lot of the analysis to determine what that cost was maybe to us on the county side from the infrastructure. And so when we did that analysis to calculate what that appropriate cost was per case type and also per volume, and that's a new process because maybe that we developed, over a year ago.
Okay, thank you. That explains it. So there was an apple, now there's an apple, an orange, and a banana, and they're priced slightly differently. And
Yes.
at the end of the day, it's better we recoup our costs in a more equitable way.
Through the chair, that is correct.
Apples, bananas, oranges. I got it. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Legislator Haney.
In the same vein, under this new system, do we expect that the revenue to the county will increase or remain the same, or how will the aggregate revenue to the county change?
Through the chair, that is hard to estimate. So in some cases, there are certain types of cases in other counties where they must have a medical examiner sign off on those types of cases. And then there's other ones where they may have the option of actually having a coroner sign off on those. And so those cases normally we were doing in the past, but when we were negotiating with the individual counties, like last year, starting those talks, we did maybe bring to their attention that for some of those other cases that did not require medical examiner sign off, it would be in their interest, if you will, to have those cases done by their coroner. We would be happy to do that, but that would add more cost to them. And so I think at this point in time, the counties are kind of, if you will, trying to navigate and negotiate what they want to do. And since this is the first year that that's happened, it's kind of hard to make projections based upon, overall maybe revenue estimates.
So through the chair, do I discern from that we don't know what the aggregate impact on revenue will be?
Through the chair, it's hard to give you a precise estimate. We know what the volume of cases and the distribution has been. At the same time, we can't compel any individual county to decide to have their cases done by us. Certain cases must be done by a medical examiner, and in that regard, they can choose, for all practical purposes, Monroe County, Erie County, and Onondaga. And we know that many of those counties have already done price comparisons and know that we actually provide a much more equitable rate to them compared to those other counterparts.
Through the chair, what did we assume in the budget? Flat revenue or increased revenue, or what did we assume in the budget?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we can get you that answer.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? See none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Item carries. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Yes, Legislator Haney.
As I understand it, under one of these tax cap laws or something that the state passed, the county at some point this year has to submit a report to Albany demonstrating I think it's a 1% saving from intergovernmental cooperation. And I was wondering if someone could, since this is the Intergovernmental Committee, if someone could illuminate us a little bit on when that's required and what is required.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to share what I know. I don't know when the specific deadline is for the submission, with the state setting up a web portal to do so. However, beginning mid-last year, the Council of Governments met to discuss this matter, and it was by agreement that, and also by the suggestion of the way that the plan was set up, that the county would take the lead. It's not necessary for the county to take the lead. The county is taking the lead. I know that the county CFO, Mr. Franklin, and the CFO in the city have been in communication and are working together to put together a plan that they will then take and share amongst the supervisors as well to get them an opportunity to sign on that plan. Optimally, it would be the goal would to have all of the towns and the county and the city on the same plan, although it's not absolutely necessary, and I think that that's what everybody's preference would be based on our conversations. So we're working diligently towards putting that together. Council of Government Steering Committee is due to meet next month and set up the agenda for the upcoming meeting, and I expect that this would be the principal topic at that meeting.
Would it be appropriate, Mr. Chairman, to say at the March meeting of this committee to have a briefing on what that process comes up with?
I think that's fair. I know that Mr. Franklin intends, through you, Mr. Chairman, that Mr. Franklin also intends at NISAC to attend one of the sessions that is targeted towards county financial officers and the requirements under the statute. I think he's well-versed, but I think some of it will also discuss about submission and the use of this state portal that's being set up and how those plans need to actually be physically delivered for review. And I will ask him to be prepared to speak about that in March and what we've done.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Seeing none, there being no other matters, the January 28th, 2015 meeting of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee is scheduled for February 25th, 2015. That's it.